And they are back in the pocket.
Oh, yes.
How are you, my man?
I'm back in the pocket
Oh
again.
my God, throwing out the rock. Welcome into the Dirty Pocket, the on
Hey,
again, off again show as of late with myself and the scout, Mr. Daniel Kelly of First Round Mock, Sports Illustrated, and so many other accolades and sources. You look good, sir. You look
hey,
good.
thank you. It's interesting because as inconsistent as our show has been, the Dirty Pocket, it's almost just as inconsistent with some of these teams in their quarterback situation. So it's kind of like it kind of mirrors.
That's what we're doing. We're just actually mirroring the current quarterback market in the NFL over the last few weeks.
I
And
believe so, and that's something we've done since we started the Dirty Pocket. You remember how it was always unpredictable there for a season, and there's always something different every week, and it's like we seem to mirror kind of like the vibe of the NFL on our show, which is probably just the vibe of the atmosphere or something. I don't know what it is, but yeah, we're right. We're tracking.
there it is, man. There it is. So real quick, so we can get into the meat of this little show. What are we drinking this week? I'm coming in strong with the Zevia root beer, and I know you've got
Nice.
some crazy thing for us.
I
So
really do.
do
I
your
really
thing.
do. I really do. We're gonna go this week with the Jamaican pineapple soft drink.
Very diverse. Very diverse. A lot of
Yeah,
variety.
yeah.
All right,
Is
man.
you see the
That's
little
great.
right there, the little cat there holding that up. So
Okay.
absolutely. So so here I got a little jingle for us here. A little
Oh
Arsenio
man.
Hall type of thing. It's like okay. Of course, I have the Jets head on, so it's kind of even more poetic. But hey, okay, here we go. Ready? Hold on. Okay, here. Okay. When your quarterback situation is completely and utterly unpredictable and you don't know what you're going to do, even though you made everyone think you're going to trade for Aaron Rodgers, but you haven't done it, reach for a Jamaican pineapple. Just as unpredictable as the Jets quarterback situation. Let's see how it tastes.
Okay. Okay, and welcome in, MTO. MTO, welcome
Oh,
back.
hey, MTO.
And
Oh, that's really tasty. Jamaican pineapple drink. I really like that. I mean, that tastes a lot better than the Jets quarterback situation right now.
okay, but the commitment of MTO lives on. He's all in, just like Woody Johnson is with Aaron Rodgers. So look, let's start there. This Jets thing just, gets absolutely crazy in this little 25-minute left of the show thing. Uh, wow, the New York Jets. This Aaron Rodgers thing? Robert Saleh. We get the NFL meetings this week. Everybody's saying the right things. It'll happen when it happens.
Mm.
What, are the Jets going to draft a quarterback? Are they going to move Zach Wilson? Is Aaron Rodgers going to ever play there? What? I don't know what's going on.
Hey, this is a what's called a colossal mess that's being very masked right now by a great PR staff and saying all the right things. You see, what's happening here is right before our eyes, the entire free agent market is evaporated right in front of the Jets' eyes. Really, all those quarterbacks. Not to mention, they lost their best quarterback of the group, Mike White, to the Miami Dolphins of all people within the
So
division. And so now we're sitting here, we're looking at our calendars, March 28th. Jets are sitting there in their quarterback room right now with Zach Wilson, who they basically have put on the back burner. And then they have Chris Streveler, who, obviously had a nice showing in a couple games, last year as a backup. But, really the quarterback room is pretty bleak right now in a large market team. I mean, the Giants have their quarterback situation taken care of, right? With Daniel Jones. The
looks
Buffalo
good.
Bills, they have Josh Allen. But here we got the New York Jets sitting there really with no idea. And the only thing they're really doing right now, I believe, I think this whole thing is just a ruse for a season ticket campaign.
Really?
That's this costs nothing. I'm starting to see kind of this slowly growing trend in the NFL where, teams are talking about, well, we're interested in this guy, we're interested in that guy. And of course, that's what fans want to hear. The Jets, we're interested in Ezekiel Elliott. We want OBJ. We want this. We want, Aaron Rodgers. We want, the Aaron Rodgers Christmas list. We want everything, but the reality of it is, okay, is the salary cap. The Jets don't have the money to go on sign all this big wish list of players for 10, 20, $30 million a guy. Okay. So here we sit on March 28th. Nothing's really happening. And now our options are a little bit more limited. What do I mean? Okay, well, the Aaron Rodgers saga continues. And I think, Stacey, I think you hit on something. Last time we were on the show, you talked about the probable and possible, the possibility of Aaron Rodgers, basically could he just walk away and retire?
Oh, I think it's possible. I mean, I don't, MTL brings up the point that's been brought up on the show a million times. He's got no offensive line help.
Yeah.
It's just, I'm trying to think back in recent memory when a situation like this ever worked out well.
There hasn't been one.
Where it ever worked out well. Like,
No.
we saw the Brett Favre circus, strangely enough, some years ago in New York. We've seen, look, we have seen, it was just a lot cleaner, I guess is the truth of it, where Peyton Manning goes to Denver, Tom Brady goes to Tampa. It seemed much cleaner. This already seems messy. By the way, for you as a Jets writer and MTO who might be listening in, listen, guys, aside from the offensive line, I just want to remind you both, Matt Ryan is available. Matt Ryan's out there on the waiver wire. If anybody wants to bring in a former MVP to stand behind that offensive line like a great statue.
Absolutely. Hey, you know what? The Yankees could go sign a bunch of their stars from yesteryear too, and have a bunch of big names. It's the situation is this Rodgers thing. You're right, Stacey, is very messy in the dirty pocket here. Of course, now we have Lamar Jackson. Oh, Carson Wentz.
That's a very good point, MTO. Very good point.
I tell you what, putting Carson Wentz behind that offensive line would be like I remember taking tin cans and shooting with a BB gun. It would just be like he would just get hammered back there. So, and you're right, MTO. There's no center. There's still no viable tackles on this roster. Nobody's going to convince me that Mekhi Becton's going to be anything after 2 years on the shelf. 2 years in the NFL is a lifetime, like Bill Parcells used to say. He's been out of playing shape for 2 years. That's all she wrote on that one. We did the same Mekhi Becton thing last year. It turned out to be a joke. He walked up to the podium with a shirt that said "Big Bust" on it. I anticipate nothing from Mekhi Becton, who is Joe Douglas's legacy pick as a GM. That was his first number one pick. Then Max Mitchell, the other tackle. We got 38-year-old Dwayne Brown kind of filling in the background at a tackle spot. This is a disaster. And some people say, well, you can move Elijah Vera Tucker, the guard, back out to tackle. That may be possible. What do you do with the guard situations? Laken Tomlinson, the left guard, is one of the lowest graded guards on PFF, Pro Football Focus, especially on run plays. If you look that up, who else is there? They have really no depth. They really have nobody that can snap the ball. I guess they signed a couple, backup type of guys in free agency, and that's Joe Douglas's MO, is just bringing a bunch of journeymen who really have never found their way of starting in this league. That seems to be his ace in the hole. Those are the guys that he likes to sign. And you're right, MTO. Now the Jets want to sign OBJ.
Ugh.
This is crazy. I'm going to come out and say this is crazy. I saw something the other day, people saying, okay, we're going to have Al Lazard, we're going to have OBJ, we're going to have Garrett Wilson, we're going to have, all these different players. We're going to have Breece Hall, we're going to have Ezekiel Elliott, we're going to, but the problem people are forgetting, and I think MTO, you're in touch with this, and I think most educated Jets fans are in touch with this as well, is that if you don't have a viable offensive line, it means nothing. Joe Douglas, turn up the volume. If you don't have an offensive line, if you can't build an offensive line, it means nothing. And I'll say it right now, as loud as people want to hear it. Joe Douglas, there isn't a prayer Joe Douglas is going to be able to build an offensive line that's worth anything in New York. How do I know that? Because the one that he's built since 2019 has allowed the fourth most sacks in the NFL to 190 sacks. He doesn't know what an offensive lineman is. Let's light up the phone lines. Let's gaslight the phone lines in New York. Let's talk about the fact that Joe Douglas doesn't know how to build an offensive line, because he doesn't. This
It's rough.
is the sad part. And not only that, but they've burned through two first round draft pick quarterbacks, Sam Darnold and Zach Wilson. Why? Because Douglas doesn't know how to build an offensive line. So all this hype, all this hoorah, all this stuff. Listen, talking about the Jets, if they get Aaron Rodgers, they're a Super Bowl favorite. Come on. I mean, fans need to take a look at that depth chart. Every member of New York media needs to take a look at that depth chart. We need to start having a very real conversation about the fact that New York Jets cannot field an offensive line as it stands right now today. And people say, well, the draft hasn't happened yet. Listen, you're going to go get a bunch of rookies and plug them in against those teams in the AFC East with those pass rushers? No. With a 39-year-old quarterback has hardly no mobility? No. And of course, Lamar Jackson's available too, right? Well, yeah, he's available. But, he doesn't want to sign there. He wants to go somewhere where he has a chance to win.
Yeah. We've had a lot of Jets talk on here. I agree. I think Salah's in for it. I think he'll be gone after next year. I think that this is a real rough road, the way they built this team. But we got to move off the Jets in the interest of time. We have no new updates on the Aaron Rodgers situation. God only knows. No one knows. It'll probably be last second when it happens, and it'll be a hot mess. That's the way it's looking right now.
I'm liking your prediction more and more, Stacey, that this is just a deal where he's trying to get his buddies all a bunch of contracts like Alan Lazar and these different people. And then he's just going to, at the last second, he's going to be like, well, I spent a couple more days in a dark room, and I've decided that this is all over. And see, because it's kind of interesting, because this is a way he can basically drive the screws to the Green Bay Packers as hard as he possibly can to make sure they don't get anything. And this is just one big drama that he's been. It's kind of like a reality show that isn't a reality show by name. He just gets to whip up all this drama, and
I'm going to move on to some drama that I just think is turning more tragic by the moment, and that is this Lamar Jackson situation. Now that he has asked for a trade out of Baltimore, recent tweet by Ross Tucker NFL, same draft class: Josh Allen $85 million, Lamar Jackson $33 million. The last 2 years since they've been eligible for new deals, Josh Allen $67 million, Lamar Jackson $25 million. Let's call this what it is. Lamar Jackson isn't getting paid, and certainly not for a guy that was a former NFL MVP. Here's what I want to talk about for a few minutes. Why? Why does no one seem to be knocking down the door for Lamar Jackson? I've got my own opinions, but I think it's becoming very crystal clear that, there was rumors this last week that the NFL was colluding, that the teams had all gotten together and said, we got to do something about these quarterback prices and we got to drive this market down. And Lamar Jackson is the guy to start that with. Any truth to that? You've seen the underbelly of the NFL in your time as a scout. I got to tell you, MTO, it's a great point. And the fact that he's his own agent. And then there was a rumor last week that his buddy or something was calling NFL teams and asking to sign him and start wanting. This is a train off the tracks for a kid that's a former NFL MVP.
Yeah, and I think we gotta really backtrack this to the geniuses, the owners in Cleveland, the Haslams. This is very interesting because he actually, by giving Deshaun Watson that huge contract with the guaranteed money, it really redefined the quarterback market in the National Football League that all these owners are griping about. So now they don't want Lamar. There's a precedent been set, right? There's a precedent has been set. And that's the way this league works. One gets paid this, and they're all worth that. That's how it's always worked in free agency. Well, now we got Deshaun Watson being paid that, and Lamar Jackson wants to be paid around that, and nobody really wants to pay him that. So now it's going to be very interesting to see what happens. One thing I do know is that somebody will pay what he wants. It really was, MTO. It was absolutely brilliant. I was in contact with Mr. Haslam in 2017. He responded to me when I wrote him a letter. It turned out to be a 166-page GM proposal I sent into them. I have an affinity for the Haslams. I think they're brilliant. I think they know what they're doing. They're cutting edge, and they're not afraid to do it because what they've done here is they basically have frozen out a division rival with their quarterback situation on top of getting the guy they wanted, right? But now they made it so Baltimore can't re-sign Lamar Jackson. What's going to happen with Lamar Jackson? Somebody will end up paying him. Something will happen because that's the way it works with talent at the end of the day. But yeah, it's a mess. It really truly is. And I have my reason. Here's my reason why nobody wants to pay this amount of money for Lamar Jackson. Yes, he builds excitement. It's like Pontiac. You remember that? We build excitement. I mean, he's an excitement guy. Okay. He runs around, he makes plays, the NFL, he won the MVP thing. But here's the stark reality about Lamar Jackson. If my memory serves me right, when I've looked up the stats and done reports on him in the past, every single year, he's somewhere between like 21 and 27th overall in passing in the NFL amongst his peers, as far as passing stats are concerned. So he's been in the league. So really, he's in the bottom third, right? He's in the bottom third amongst his colleagues, but he wants top 3 money, top 2 money. That's the disconnect. That's where I think the disconnect is he hasn't shown as a passer. And this is why he slipped to number 32 in the first round when they he was standing there. I remember watching it. It's like you probably do, but this is why, because as a passer, listen, Malik Cunningham, who's coming out this year on Louisville, the same school that Lamar Jackson played for, had a higher completion rate that percentage than Lamar Jackson did at Louisville, had a higher quarterback rating than Lamar Jackson did at Louisville, had a higher yards per completion than Lamar Jackson did at Louisville. So as a passer, I just don't think teams are buying into the, top 3, top 2 money. I just don't think it's happening.
It's not going to happen. I'm calling it right now, and I'll be very honest. He seems like a nice enough guy. I don't have anything against Lamar Jackson. I'm pretty candid. I'm old school. I got white hair. There's no way I'm building a team around Lamar Jackson. No way. I said the same thing about RG3. I said the same thing about Michael Vick. When you are a phenomenal athlete, as he is, and you take off running, it is already starting to catch up to him. He's already starting to get hurt in a wickedly violent game. And these amazing athletes, MTO, exactly, same thought, is that
absolutely MTO.
Listen, he's a talented kid, and he's a great citizen, and he's good to the community and all that, but I don't think no one is going to give him this kind of guaranteed money when he's on maybe at the top heading towards the bottom side of his career, and he's a running quarterback in a league where you just aren't going to survive long if you're doing that.
But you remember, you and I last year, we had this exact same conversation as we laughed amongst ourselves about Kyler Murray, and we said there's no way he's going to get that kind of money with a 21 and 23 and 1 record. But yet he got the money, he got paid. So right now, nobody has to do it, but I believe somebody's going to do it at the end of the day, because the NFLPA will step on and they'll say, listen, this is the market rate for quarterbacks. He has an NFL MVP. This is what's happening. And it's going to become a mess to the point where somebody's going to have to pay it.
Who is going to pay? I mean, you're looking at the teams out there that are quarterback hungry. And this draft has got, 4 or 5 that people would say are in the upper tier. I personally doubt that. You're the scout. You would have your own take on that. I look at all 5 and go, yeah, good. Franchise? No. Not from where I sit. There's no Andrew Luck's. There's no John Elway's. There's no Peyton Manning's. I don't see that. Who in there, as you look at the NFL landscape, Scout, who do you think is going to shell out that kind of guaranteed money to Lamar Jackson? The Colts? The Falcons? The Commanders? I mean,
the Commanders have come out and said they're not going to do it, which is, they've always been very, very, very bold about spending a lot of money for big name talent since Mr. Snyder's owned the team. And this is the one move on the chessboard they desperately need to make because they've lost half their fan base to the Baltimore Ravens through the years with this.
Okay.
I mean, they could pull back a lot of people. I mean, that's the star player from the Ravens. They could pull back fans that way. It'd be a heck of a move by
Money
the
move.
Commanders. But they say they're not going to do it. Outside of that, I posted something on Twitter. I think my dark horse team for Lamar Jackson is the San Francisco 49ers.
Oh, no.
Yep.
The guaranteed money, though? What do you do with Brock Purdy and Trey Lance?
Trey Lance, I think, should start packing. Well, I think that they say the Vikings are the number. They say the Vikings are the Vikings' new brass wants to head a different direction. I think they kind of seen what I've seen in Kirk Cousins since he came in the league. It's taken the rest of everybody about a decade to figure this out, that Kirk Cousins can't win a championship, okay? He's great for fantasy football, blah, blah, blah. He's severely overrated, severely overpaid, and I think they're starting to see that this is not going to go anywhere with Kirk Cousins in Minnesota. So I think what they want to do is they want to get him out. I don't think there's any way in the world Lamar Jackson's going to the Minnesota Vikings whatsoever. I think the Vikings want to go with a rookie guy and try to build around him, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
But I see somebody, I don't know if it's a Tom Brady coming out of retirement going to the 49ers. I don't know if it's Lamar Jackson going out. You remember Deshaun Watson was supposed to go to the 49ers. There's all these rumors about 49ers quarterbacks. And also remember something is that Kyle Shanahan has an absolute fascination with Kirk Cousins. He's known him since he was in Washington, right? He's known him since then. And when he was the offensive coordinator under his daddy out there. And, maybe that's what happens. Cousins end up with the 49ers and I don't know. But Lamar Jackson's going to play somewhere. I know that. I just don't know where for how much.
Boy, I'm just looking at that. I mean, the Falcons came out today and said Desmond Ridder is our guy. He's a starter. Matt Ryan's on the waiver wire. Garoppolo goes to the Raiders. That's going to be a disaster. I'm going to say it right now. I know you're a big Jimmy G guy. I just don't. I think the head coach, whose name, Josh McDaniels, I don't think he's a head coach. Where in the world does Lamar Jackson end up? I still say, in some strange gut way, that Aaron Rodgers to the Niners in a 1 year with that roster.
See, that's another one.
They've gotten so close to the NFC Championship multiple times and can't get over the hump. Like if Shanahan wants to plug and play on a Super Bowl ring, he just goes, oh God, bring in Aaron Rodgers, 1 year deal. He plays at home. I get a ring. Then we can develop Brock Purdy, give him a year to heal the elbow. But Lamar Jackson, I'm looking around the landscape going, interesting comment by MTO. Maybe Carolina should have taken Jackson and built around. I'm going to call it right now. I don't like any of these quarterbacks. Follow the Scout at First Round Mock, by the way, for his deep dives. I'm not a big fan of these guys. Okay. Lamar Jackson watch is officially on the Dirty Pocket. Like, where is this crazy story going to end? A couple of things for you, Scout. From the grab bag. The grab bag. It was announced today at the NFL meetings, a couple of big headline deals, in my opinions. The NFL is okay to play 2 Thursday night games. And when Roger Goodell was asked, hey, this doesn't seem like a good idea for the players, his response, according to NFL Network, I was watching it, is, we don't have any data to support that. That's, we always look out for the players. I'm calling BS. That is a money decision. Now we're going to move 4 teams into a shortened week. Goodell tried to say, yeah, but it's like a mini bye week the following week. Did not see this, MTO. Apparently RG3 has commented on it. Yeah, I agree with RG3. This is a money play. They need to grow the pot. What say you, Scout? And then I got another subject I want to bounce off you.
Everything is motivated by money in the National Football League.
Yeah, come on. Yeah, safety.
Yeah, I mean, it's more prime time, more commercials, more all that good stuff. Yeah, that's. I mean, they want to get as many games in the prime time slots as possible. That's where this is headed.
Yeah, folks, I don't know if anyone's thought about this, but you're now looking at the only days without football are Tuesday, Wednesday, Friday, Saturday, and that's in deference to college football on those nights. I mean, if Goodell can figure out a way to have a football game 7 nights a week, he's going to do it.
So what's going to happen then? They're going to flex games, or what's? I didn't hear the whole details.
I'm not completely clear on this. I just got a few tidbits on it as I leaned into the dirty pocket tonight, but they're talking about doing doubling up on the Thursday night games, is my understanding, and immediately the reporters were hitting him with, well, what about player injuries and shortened weeks? They play Sunday, then they're back at it on Thursday and travel time. And Rodgers like, don't worry about that stuff. We got data. It doesn't say that's bad. The players are screaming at the top of their lungs.
Right. Yeah, that's going to be very interesting. I mean, plus we have a longer schedule than we used to have now. When we used to have 16 games, now we got more than that.
Yeah, and, I mean, why? Don't you think we should increase roster sizes at this point?
Well, that's the next natural progression. That's you go from 53 up to an 80-man roster or something. That's what you almost have to do at that point if you're going to be having these type of dynamics with a longer. Plus you got to shorten the preseason a little bit too. I think at that point, 2 preseason games would be good. All these unnecessary injuries in the preseason. Just have a longer training camp. Just do something like that.
Good point on that one. Good point.
Thank you. Yeah.
Yeah, I like that. That's good. So interesting stuff coming out of the NFL players meetings. There was a whole bunch of stuff, as you might imagine, on the Washington Commanders and the third-party report and whether or not that's going to be released. Of course, no Dan Snyder. They're trying to sell the team. I think at this point you're behind that. Like it's time to move on. I'm dying at MTO. Yeah, Roger would like games on the moon on Wednesday nights, if he could. Trust me, it's a revenue driver. It's hilarious. Okay, one other very interesting thing that came out of today's news out of the NFL meetings in Arizona, the number 0 will once again be entering the jersey fray.
Oh, that's just in time for Darnell Washington.
I had a feeling you might say that.
Yes.
So are we, MTO, give us your opinion too. Is the number 0 okay? I mean, I remember back to the Ken Burrow day. Jim Otto. 0. Calvin Ridley of the Jacksonville Jaguars has already gone on record saying, look at that. MTO heard it too, that he wants the number 0. I think it's atrocious. If you want to wear it, that's your business. I don't get it. Might I add, interesting to go with the 0 news, is that kickers will now be able to pick from any and all numbers, up to 99. Won't that be bizarre?
That will be everything's changing. The
Jersey
landscape
sales.
of the NFL is, I don't think too many people will be buying the kickers jersey anyways. I don't know what difference that makes, but I mean, the only kicker jerseys I see anybody buy is those Scott Norwood ones in Buffalo, where his name is kind of wide right on the back of his jersey, from the Super Bowl back in the day. But yeah, that's interesting. You know what? Calvin really isn't even that good of a football player before the gambling thing. I wrote an article for SI Jets urging the Jets not to sign him. Then the gambling thing. Now he wants the number 0. Hey, you know what? It's one thing I'll say about the offseason in the NFL, they have figured out how to streamline this as far as revenue is concerned.
Stay relevant.
Every day there's a new story. Every day there's a new something. Every day there's for a sport that only lasts 4 or 5 months, they've turned it into a 12-month sport. So it's very interesting how they've done it with news items such as you're talking about.
Yeah, it's all about staying relevant now in the NFL in the off season as well. Right. Well, there are the hot button topics for this week in the Dirty Pocket, and there were some good ones. I am sure that we will have all kinds of information coming out of this week's NFL meetings for next week.
The schedule, MTO, you're right. That's coming up next.
Yeah. I mean, they have whole shows now on the schedule release. And I remember as a kid in the 70s growing up with football, I'm like, what? I mean, we had to wait till a magazine came out. Yeah.
There's a little clipping in the sports section, the back page. You have a little tiny print what the schedule was for the season.
Yeah. Yeah. There's entire shows they roll out like Carrie Underwood sings and stuff. I mean, it's just straight bonkers. Look at your team's schedule. I mean,
And then
Okay.
talk about every
Uh,
game. What do you think about the Atlanta Falcons coming up in December, Stacy?
all right, Scout. Parting shots. Any big points you want to make as we close out the pocket?
It's just a matter of time before Micah Parsons says the wrong thing on social media. Did you see what he did this week? Did you see what he did yesterday?
I did not.
Yeah, he went ahead and some guy, I briefly saw it on Twitter, some guy wrote to him that he'll never win Defensive Player of the Year award, and his team is atrocious or something like that. And he responded to this guy, and I'm paraphrasing. He said, he goes, I felt like responding to you because I feel like you're a sad or some kind of a sad man sitting at a desk that has no children. So I'll go ahead and make a response to you, something along those lines. And I hope to see you at a game next year. He's going out of his way. And I'm paraphrasing. I probably got the quote exactly, not exactly right, but he's going out of his way. It's just a matter of time, because a couple of weeks before that, Micah Parsons came out and said something like, "If I could only say what I really want to say on social media," he tweeted that out. And so it's just. But it's just a matter. Trust me on this. It's just a matter of time before he says something, because this is his personality. This is his background. He has an explosive temper. He showed it at Penn State when he punched the guy in the face. In high school, he pulled the fire alarm and got everybody out of the high school. He has this kind of this. He's made hit lists and calls the Cowboys defenders the group of terrorists and stuff. He uses this type of verbiage. I just think it's a matter of time before he says something on social media that's going to end him up in trouble.
Yeah, well, you're probably right. And my parting shot on this one is no, Ron Rivera, Sam Howell is not the next Brock Purdy. And that is my final shot this week as we close out the Dirty Pocket. MTO, very good to see you. And please keep on coming back as we get this thing back to being regular again. And for myself and the Scout, or that you can find at firstroundmock.com. You can find me at Gridiron Icon, the podcast with Preston Denard. For this week in the Dirty Pocket, we will see you next week.
By the way, that comment by Rivera, what that might really mean is they might want to be the worst team in the NFL to give a new quarterback for the new owner. Okay, did I say that out loud? Okay, bye, everybody.
Okay, we will see you next week.
Is that a Caleb Williams move? Okay, bye.
Oh,